The Packers will have a first and goal. Receiver to the right, Jimmy Graham. Rodgers, quick toss in the flat, left side, got his man for the end zone, and a touchdown.
First and Goal podcast on Spreaker.com. And we're now on all your favorite platforms: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Tumblr, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can always follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod and our Facebook page, facebook.com/First and Goal Pod 33.
Get money, yeah. Every day I'm hustling. 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 3, 2, 1.
And welcome, everybody, to another live edition of First and Goal, the post-game show, the 365 edition, but no Ryan Molstead tonight. Just me and Dave.
Yeah, guys, what is up? Feels good to be 5-1. Whew, what a game. Packers went in with no top wide receiver, no top safety they drafted in Darnell Savage, which would have made a huge difference tonight, and the defense still showed up. But, okay, I'm going to get right to it, Jay, because I know there's some circles around this already. A lot of people saying that there was bias towards the Packers, and those two calls saved the Packers. No.
1 second.
1 second. A victory beer. You know what? I'm going to get mine. Hold on a second. You wait, sir. I'm getting mine right
victory
now.
Beer. And do you know why I need that right now? Because there's a whole nother stretch of gray hair on my left side of my head. I'll point it out to you right here. Can you see it? Are you doing that seriously with the freaking can opener thing again?
I do it every day.
All right, whatever. It's your
Anyways.
thing. Live with it.
Anyways, our victory beers. Technically, it's Victory Tuesdays for us already because it's already Tuesday, folks.
Wiggle.
But a lot of people have already been, all the Lions fans, non-Packers NFC North fans, that was robbery, the two calls of the hands to the face. Folks, all I'm going to say is the officiating crew, Jay and I agreed earlier, we talked right before the show, it was a horrible all night. They were missing DPI calls on the Lions. They were missing DPI calls on the Packers. Then they showed the review about 3 times on Redmond clotheslining the receiver for the Lions, and he still didn't throw the flag. So that's Patricia's own fault. And 2, you had 5 field goals. You had a turnover in Packers territory, and you still couldn't put up the touchdowns. And Jay just not pointed this out, but I fully agree with him. The Kerryon Johnson touchdown wasn't even a touchdown. They showed the side angle all the way down the pylons, and that ball never crossed, folks. It just would have been a 6th field goal.
Just a little too far. The tip of the ball never reached the front of.
And that's what made it stand, because that arm was covering it too, and they never. That's the thing. It never crossed that plane. Charles Woodson even came out and says that wasn't a touchdown.
Sucked once again in another game for both sides. It cost either way this game was going to go. It was going to cost one or the other teams because of the terrible job they're doing once again. Let's just be clear about that. And then let's put that aside and analyze the rest of the game.
Yeah, we're going to analyze the game.
Despite that, Dave, this was a hell of a divisional game. And it was a lot closer than I saw it coming out. A lot less here.
Detroit came out swinging, folks. They had 2 long bombs. And credit to Mr. Jair Alexander for chasing down Kenny Galladay, which probably would have been a touchdown. But Mr. 4.3 speed chased him down like a jackrabbit, brought him down, and it made it field goal instead of a touchdown.
He did an excellent job hustling, even though he initially gave up. And can I just say once again, can we stop with the unrestricted free agents? Can we go sign some veterans? I don't care if they're slower, just that won't make stupid mistakes. Redmond, Sullivan, back at safety. We've got a guy we
They
paid
did a better
to
job
solidify
after
safety
the
in
first
the second
quarter.
half. But again, Lancaster. It just these guys.
He was in there to help stop the run, and they did. Carrion did not have a big game, man. That was the big factor. If you take the running back out of Darrell Bevel's system as the offensive coordinator, you beat the Lions. Like, I'm sorry, the Lions had 5 field goal chances. Not one of them converted to a touchdown, and they still couldn't beat Green Bay with a +3 turnover differential. And I'm getting to my next subject. Darius Shepard, take a seat and be thankful you have Aaron friggin' Rodgers on your team. Because if it was anybody else, they wouldn't have won that game. Darius Shepard got bailed out huge tonight with Aaron Rodgers being in the zone. And Allen Lazard finally getting the chance to play and showing out. I love it. I love him in this offense already with watching him in the second half. He was, Jay, there's something that I saw. He was in sync, man. He was in sync. Like he knew the breaks to come back on the routes for Rodgers on the back shoulder throws. He knew where that ball placement was going to be over his left shoulder on that touchdown. He's in sync with Rodgers, and I will take that any day over the week over. And I'm conceding this, Jay.
Yeah.
Geronimo Allison, not even by injury, he needs to be moved down the depth chart. Kumaro showed he can play tonight. So did Allen Lazard. MVS came up with a big play. I have no reason to have Geronimo on as a second or third string wide receiver. He's getting moved down the pegboard on my list. Allen Lazard showed why he has been around the Packers roster these past 2 years, and it's come to fruition. I love every bit of it. I have 3 MVPs tonight. One, none of them are Rodgers, just to give you Packers fans a heads up. One is Allen Lazard. Balled out when he had the chance. 2, Mercedes Ageless Lewis. 2 huge catches to keep drives going, and that guy, with his big play chunk ability, they're going to start using him more and more now, Jay, because especially with Graham dropping footballs, he caught one important one, but other than that, he dropped a touchdown early in the game. He was dropping a couple slant passes. He's just slow. Lewis is still moving with a purpose, and he's older than him by at least,
Graham,
I think, 4
I'm
years.
just tired of. I've had enough of him.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. And then my third MVP, Mike Pettin. He came out, got a couple jabs and an uppercut to the mouth in the first quarter, and second through fourth quarter, folks, that defense put the clamps on this supposed dangerous offense for the Lions. They had Stafford rattled. Preston and Zadarius Smith were hitting him all night. They ended up racking up, I believe, 3 sacks or 3.5 sacks on him, but there was a ton of pressures. Kenny Clark was getting pressure in the middle. It's just, I've said it as long as I've been a, not Stafford hater, but Stafford, once you hit him, he starts getting antsy with his decisions. And you saw, like, Jay, there was a certain pass in the fourth quarter, or it was either the late third or the early fourth on one of the drives, and they were about 15 yards out, and Stafford sailed a pass about 10 yards above his tight end Logan Thomas. That to me showed that they were getting to Stafford mentally because of the fact that he doesn't throw those over the head passes 10 yards above at all anymore this season. So if you got a pass rush, folks, and you get after him, you're going to start seeing the antsy dance. And Stafford did that tonight. Mike Pettin, Allen Lazard, Mercedes Lewis.
Wait a second. Okay, I'm reading Twitter right now, and I love Brandon, a.k.a. Dr. Super Bowl. He's friended.
Oh, I already called him out on it.
He's hilarious. I'm reading that. I see that, but I'm going to talk about it on there. Brandon, I have said this before. I respect what you say and how you rate the GOAT because it's done on an equal level with everybody. because it's stats. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily right. And therefore, where you have Aaron Rodgers rated and how you look at him in history, in the reality of football, stats don't mean shit. Rings are a team thing. There's no such thing as quarterback wins as a stat. That's a team thing. And therefore, all this statistical crap, if you look at how Drew Brees compiled those stats, it was in a dome in a controlled environment done in a bunch of 7 and 9 seasons where he missed the playoffs. Don't tell me he's better. When Aaron Rodgers was taking teams with defensive linemen playing guard to NFC championship games.
Yep.
That's called real football. Again, Brandon, I love you, and I can respect how you do it, but that doesn't mean that in the real terms of football, again, if you're a GM and you made decisions the way all these guys argue the GOAT, you'd be fired by week 8 because it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It's
really
essentially
would.
what Chip Kelly tried to do. I'm going to hurry up. I'm going to beat everybody with speed. Everybody wants to talk about all the offensive rule changes, Brandon, and all the stats and all that. But history tells us, go look at the teams that win. And it comes down to 2 things. Play defense, run the ball, and control the clock. That's why the Patriots won their 6th ring 13-3, not 48-41. That's done more consistently than 48-8. Look through the Super Bowls. Just is. There's rules and anomalies. And to call Aaron Rodgers overrated is, again, kind of being, I'm not going to say blasphemy like you tweeted out, which, okay, you can say that, but.
It is. I'm sorry.
It's not,
overrated. Give me a break.
It's not looking at it from a real, like, this is what I mean. This is where I come back to where I look at the GOAT. And I hate to get down this rabbit hole, but, again, I love Brandon. I can't say that enough. So I'm not saying this out of hate, okay? I just want to be clear about that. If you're GM, Aaron Rodgers is the closest thing to the perfect QB when you assemble all the things that you're looking for. So was Dan Marino. So was John Elway. So was Johnny Unitas. It's not hard. Like, stats are nice, but again, once the QB releases the ball, he really doesn't have control about what happens to it after that. So it's kind of it's fun story, but it doesn't really mean the quarterback's really that great because he can throw a 5-yard hitch pass that goes 80 yards or goes for 12 or 25 or that quarterback had nothing to do with it outside of being accurate, having arm strength, reading the right defense, delivering the ball on time, having correct mechanics. All that stuff that has nothing to do with all that statistical stuff because that's out of his control. What he can control is what a GM would look, what scouts look for when they're trying to scout and project quarterbacks coming out of college. Like, that's the how and why. That's simple. And again, I will say it again because I want to make it clear. I'm not trying to be a hater here on Brandon because he's a friend of the show and we love him to death. And I respect how he does it because he does it on an equal playing field. He judges all quarterbacks the same. And if you're going to do that, I can argue with you about how you're doing it, but I can't say you're wrong because you're using an equal playing field, okay? But on some levels, you're wrong.
It's blasphemy. I'm sorry. He can't speak of overrated when Bills draft quarterbacks like J.P. Losman. But anyways, we'll not get into that. I have no problem holding back Jay. Yeah, he's a friend of the show, but when you post crap like that, nah, man, that's just, especially after Rodgers was one of the main reasons they came back and won that game. Come on. I mean, yeah, I get it. He's jealous because they haven't had a quarterback since Jim Kelly. I mean, whatever. That's how I view it. If people are hating on Rodgers and I look at their team and it's like, they haven't had a quarterback in decades. That's how I view it. But anyways,